Members, commission, Mr. Rohr, HSA family. It's June. This year is flying by. And I want to thank you for your work and your service to this beautiful city of ours. I'm James McCray, the Human Service Commission's Vice President. President Khan has an excused absence. Commission Secretary Labar, please take the roll.
Khan has an excused absence. Commissioner Semmel has an excused absence. Vice President McCray. Commissioner Cogley McDonald. And I'm going to unmute Commissioner Singh. Are you present? He is. We can see him on the screen. I think he's having some technical difficulties, but
Are you hearing it?
Not very well.
Well, you get because you can't hear.
we have a quorum. Yes, thank you. Okay, so public comment will be available on each item on this agenda and during general public comment at the end of the meeting. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The public is attending this meeting in person and remotely via WebEx online and then calling in also. During each public comment period, remote attendees will be instructed to. So for WebEx attendees, please use the raise your hand feature when the commission secretary, me, announces public comment. The meeting moderator, my colleague, Tommy, will call on you when it is your turn. For callers, please dial in 415-655-0001. And then when prompted, you'll be asked for an access code, which is 259-766-887-54#. If you are, if you're asked for a meeting password, just enter £. After the moderator closes the WebEx public comment, he will announce public comment for callers. When connected via phone, you will hear the meeting discussions, but you will be muted and in listening mode only. When your item of interest comes up, dial *3 to be added to the speaker line. Best practices are to call from a quiet location, speak clearly and slowly, and turn down your television or radio. You will have 3 minutes to speak. As I mentioned earlier, you will be informed by the moderator when you have 30 seconds left, and after 30 seconds, you'll be muted and put back into listening mode. If you run into any issues, I have my cell phone here. Please text me if possible, 415-535-2386, and I will work with Tommy to get you some help. If you need to call, if you don't have a cell phone, 415-535-2386, leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. All right, Vice President McCray, item number 3. Thank you.
Item number 3, the agenda. Notice of the commission, the questions or comments regarding the agenda. And motion to approve today.
I think we have to ask for public comment
Oh, yes.
on every item, so bear with me a second here. Moderator, please open WebEx and the phone line for public comment. We'll just hold for a moment. I'm not seeing any hands raised, no public comments. We will close public comment at this time. Okay, now for a motion.
Have a motion.
I don't know what you're doing.
Commissioner Singh, can you offer a
What are
second?
you doing?
It's okay.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Raise your hand.
Huh?
All in favor, aye.
If you could, when they ask for, they say something, just raise your hand as well.
Item number 4, minutes from the meeting of May 25th. Questions, comments? Public questions, comments?
We'll open public comment at this time. Check for raised hands. Okay, no public comment.
May I have a motion?
So they can, when they, instead of saying yes, do both.
Second.
Signal in front of
Oh
me.
my God.
Commissioner Singh, can you offer a second?
Yes,
Thank you.
Favor aye. Hold. Item number 5, executive director's report.
Good morning, Vice President Craig. Commissioner is online. Federal level, like I normally do. Last month I mentioned the debt limit deal that was being crafted and what I thought was going to be a bit of an impact on our programs. Two of our programs were included as part of the debt limit negotiation. One was TANF, which of course in California is our CalWorks program, and the other was on SNAP, which in California is our CalFresh program. So for TANF, what the president and leadership in the House agreed to was sort of a change in the way that states would be held to the work requirements for TANF, and again in California that's for CalWorks. But the way that they restructured it turns out will not have any impact on California and our work participation rate. Sort of an arcane part of the federal regs related to the level of the work participation requirement in terms of a percentage and how it interacts with how much the caseload has declined. And the way they redid the calculation basically allows California to use the significant caseload reduction we've had since 2015 as an offset to the work participation requirement. So sort of as the caseload reduction credit goes down by a percentage point, the work participation requirement goes down by 1%. So in effect, California's rate is actually 0. We still do have the work requirements for CalWorks, but what it means is that should the state, well, because it's 0, we will meet it, but basically if the state didn't meet it, we'd get a fiscal penalty because the caseload has declined so much, we're not going to be subject to a fiscal penalty. In SNAP, in CalFresh, I had mentioned, I believe last month, that they're increasing the age limit for the work requirements for adults who don't have dependents, who are employable, so who do not have a disability. That age requirement will go up to age 55. It's currently at 49. The way they structured it, it'll be phased in over a number of years. So I think age 50 and 51 are the first year, and then so on. Both of these requirements will go into effect in 3 months, or 3 months from the signing of the debt limit deal, but we have to receive federal guidance. The state will receive federal guidance. The state will then interpret the guidance and pass that along to counties. So I don't believe that we'll have any changes on the ABOD side. Even though there are in effect in 3 months, we won't see operationally, we won't see impacts until the state gives us their guidance. So at the state level, the legislature did complete its budget and forwarded it to the governor. They met their constitutional deadline of June 15th. There are disagreements between the governor's version of the budget and the legislature's, but they really center around transportation, capital projects, climate change, a little bit in education, but not really touching human services or health and human services programs. A couple smaller areas, the legislature does include a rate increase for our foster family agencies and our foster family providers, childcare providers as well. And then wants to make permanent the 10% grant increase for CalWorks that was due to expire or otherwise would expire in fiscal year 25. They have till July 1st, so 5 days until, per the Constitution, for the budget to be agreed upon and signed by the governor. So we'll continue to watch that, but I don't anticipate any last minute changes that will impact our funding or our operations. So locally, and thank you commissioners for agreeing to reschedule the meeting today. The meeting that was scheduled last Thursday, I was instead in the Board of Supervisors chambers arguing in the second round of our budget hearings. So overall, process wise, departments present their budget to the Board of Supervisors Budget and Finance Committee in week 1. Then the budget legislative analyst reviews our budget, comes up with recommendations for reductions, presents those to the board, and then we react and respond to those the following week, which is what I did last Thursday. Basically what the budget legislative analysts did, they recommended cuts totaling about a little over 4 million in 23-24, but a much bigger number, almost 12 million for 24-25. And then they also put in what they call a group of recommendations that they call policy matters for the board, which basically they present an issue, they don't take a position on it, but they want the board to sort of take a position. And in our case, it was around the $20 million that we have for the budget year for our food support programs. And the reason that the BLA, Budget Legislative Analyst, the reason the BLA made that recommendation was the $20 million as proposed by the mayor was to come from revenue earned from Proposition C that is accruing in the Department of Early Child Care's budget. The money, it's the total revenue from Prop C is over 200 million now in that department's budget, some of which is unobligated or unencumbered. And so the mayor proposes to shift those monies to us to support the food programs. There was a fair amount of controversy over that. And so the budget legislative analyst asked the board basically to say, do you agree with this sort of major policy decision in the funding shift? So I'll address that since I just talked about it. Basically what they decided to do late last week, and we as an agency didn't really have a position on that. Our position was we need the funding to support our food programs. We don't care where it comes from. This was the mayor's budget office decision. But what they're doing, apparently this is not formalized yet, but they're going to be using the interest that has been accruing on the Prop C revenue to fund the food support program. So they're not going to take any of the principal. They're just going to be able to use unbudgeted, unallocated interest from that pot of money. So it looks like our food programs, although they're over 30 million in the current year, they're now going to be reduced to 20 million. There is an additional almost $6.5 million in 2 other city departments to support the food programs. So the reduction turns out citywide to be about 5 to 6 million. We have a request for proposals currently out on the street for our community food support programs under that portion of that $20 million. The other cuts were from the BLA, as they always do. They look at positions that have been vacant for a long period of time and propose those for deletion. And then they proposed not allowing us to do some position substitutions of vacant positions to different categories of or different classifications. So, what I argued that I argued every year that just because a position is vacant for a long period of time doesn't mean it's not necessary. It's not really a proxy for need. And so I was able to, with support from my budget team, of course, argue successfully to not delete those 4 positions. And so the budget committee agreed with that and they kept them in. In addition, they're allowing us to create 3 manager positions, 1 in Family and Children's Services, 1 in our IT division, and 1 in SF Benefits Net. Those are substitutions of vacant positions up to manager positions to do basically to balance span of control given the newer staff we've brought on board. And so the board did agree with me for that as well to upgrade those. The big piece of money, the big sort of, I mentioned the 11.7 million for next fiscal year. The big piece of that is $9.6 million recommended for reduction to support the move out of this building. I brought to your attention before the seismic rating of this building is a seismic level 4, which is the highest rating of the city. And so we have been planning, even pre-pandemic, planning to find 1 or 2 new locations to relocate staff and services. Because of the pause during the pandemic and because of the sort of new sort of mix of telework versus on-site work, we reassessed kind of the need for space and kind of where we're going to locate. We have been working with Department of Real Estate to find a place for our staff and services in the southeast portion of the city, as well as maintaining a presence here at the Civic Center. But because it's taken a while, the budget analyst said, you don't need the money essentially, which is sort of silly. It's almost akin to saying, we're not going to give you any money until you actually hire a person and put that person in the seat. So the board agreed, and what they did instead was put that $9.6 million on budget reserve. And all that means is when we actually do find a building, negotiate a lease, we come back to the board and say, we found a building, it's going to cost this much, and ask them to release it from reserve, which won't present a problem for us. So overall, I think we're in a good place. Of course, it still has to finalize the process from the committee and then the full board of supervisors. But I think overall, the reductions we agreed to aren't going to have an operational impact for our agency. So I think moving forward, even though the food funding is obviously lower than this year, we were concerned we weren't going to get anything given the state of the city's budget and the $750 million deficit. So I consider the $20 million, a win given that context. Also locally, related to our food support programs, this is the second, we just did, actually it happened on Thursday as well, the second year of supporting the annual Chinatown food giveaway. HSA's second year of supporting this. And so this event started in 1996 and it's taken place every year until it paused during COVID-19, because it's a very large community event where we interact with community members and nonprofits to distribute the food. So it's paused during COVID, and then we resumed it. And with our financial support, we served over 5,000 low-income San Franciscans with culturally tailored food items in Chinatown. We partnered with Chinese Newcomer Services. They did the registering of 5,000 low-income residents, assembled 5,000 bags of food with 200 volunteers. Normally it's just in Chinatown. This year we did it in Chinatown and in Visitation Valley. So residents that get served, obviously it's more convenient for them to be in their neighborhoods. A lot of elected representatives there. State Assemblyman Phil Ting was there. Assessor Recorder Joaquin Torres, Supervisor Peskin was there. And so it's a great event, and we're really happy to be able to support it for the second year through our food support programs. Within our agency, for a number of months now, I update you all with the conditions at 1235 Mission in and around the building. So I do want to announce we've been working with the City Attorney's Office and the Department of Public Works to limit the vendor tables that station themselves in front of 1235 Mission. Typically, it's providing free cell phones. Most recently, there have been sort of these rogue COVID testing booths that are popping up. And the problem it creates is really just sort of a congestion of people around those tables, and sort of questions around what they're really selling at the tables, whether it's cell phones or whether it's something else. And so we were able to successfully get a Public Works order that declares the block on Mission between 8th and 9th a vendor-free zone. And so it will clear that sidewalk on the south side of Mission for our staff and our clients to be able to walk unimpeded on the sidewalk and access the building without having to go around big crowds and sort of the commotion that the vendor tables have been creating. So that actually went into effect last week. I'm told enforcement by Department of Public Works and Police started late last week, which basically says, look, there's postings there are no vendors, and they ask the vendors to relocate either across the street or somewhere else. So we'll be continuing to monitor that and hopefully see a change in the congestion in and around 1235 Mission. We also have a staff training on HSA's security role and general safety awareness on July 17th and 18th. It'll be conducted virtually, and we'll do an announcement to staff. They can sign up through our HR's training division. I always like reporting on this because it's kind of a neat program that's a little bit outside of what we normally do. So we are beginning to promote over the summer our Museums for All program. So this is our partnership with museums in San Francisco for free and reduced access to museums for low-income families and seniors. On June 9th, we sent out a press release in partnership with the mayor's office and the treasurer's tax collector's office. Had some good media coverage, 4 or 5 stories on both radio and print. The program, we've highlighted that the program has been used now by, well, it's been used more than 130,000 times. There's duplication in there. So, but 130,000 times low-income families have accessed free admissions to 22 museums and cultural institutions, which, is really a neat thing that we can be part of to really expose our low-income families, our kids, our seniors to cultural institutions that might not otherwise not be available given their costs. So we're really happy to keep that program going. Within our divisions, I do want to announce a staffing addition to replace Asa King, who left as our DEIB manager. Asa went on to the Department of Public Health. We have appointed Alexis Cobbins as our new interim DEIB manager. She comes to us from UCSF's preterm birth initiative, where she was the executive director for 4 years, but she previously had worked with HSA when we began the Families Rising or Project 500 program. Alexis will be tasked with what that office has been leading, including the mentorship program and the racial equity work group, managing the growth of our employee resource groups, increasing our diverse recruitment efforts, managing the creation of our racial equity content trainings that are available to all the staff, partnering with the controller's office to build a workforce equity dashboard. So a lot of sort of, I guess I'll call them phase 2 of our racial equity action plan, but sort of still a lot of work in that office, and Alexis and her team will be maintaining the continuity despite ACE's departure. Just a few items in SF Benefits Net. Medi-Cal under this governor's administration and legislature continues to expand. So modeled after the young adult expansion, which provided full scope Medi-Cal to young adults aged 19 through 25, irrespective of immigration status. And then the older adult expansion, which has already been in effect, that's age 50 and above. And so now we're completing it with the adult expansion, which is age 26 through 49. This adult expansion, again, it's an adult expansion for all low-income adults, irrespective of their status. This adult expansion becomes effective January of 24. It's anticipated to expand Medi-Cal coverage by over 11,000 San Franciscans who have access to Medi-Cal, full scope Medi-Cal for the first time. We'll be working with our community-based partners as usual. Sort of, we've done this now twice with seniors and with older adults and with younger individuals. So it should hopefully go off without a hitch. But I'll keep you posted as we get closer to the implementation date in January. An item in Jobs Now, just talking a little bit about expansion. We've because of the pandemic and sort of the slower economic recovery, Jobs Now has been a little slower in recruiting participants. So we've been strengthening the connection and engagement with HSA clients by stationing presence of Jobs Now staff at 3120 Mission, 170 Otis, 1235 Mission, 1440 Harrison, and then a partnership with State EDD, the Employment Development Department, at 801 Turk, and then with our CBO partners as well. So again, it's just sort of trying to get out the word that for individuals who are looking for employment, and if they're struggling to find employment, that they can enroll in Jobs Now and seek employment through our agency and have their wages paid by the employer, but then the employer, of course, reimbursed by our program. Also have a new initiative out for CalWORKs clients that I really I'm hoping to see positive outcomes, and it has to do with CalWORKs families when they leave assistance due to income. So CalWORKs families often find jobs and we sort of lose touch with them. and don't often, sometimes don't know what happens to them unless they come back onto aid. So what we're doing is providing $250 when they exit CalWORKs with a job, and then 2 further payments as they're employed or remain employed at the 3-month and the 6-month mark. This is consistent with some of the work the state's doing around incentivizing sort of engagement in CalWORKs and incentivizing kind of a maintenance of a relationship with our agency to provide things like career advancement services, post-aid childcare and things like that. And so by providing kind of these dollar amounts, it helps a little bit with that connection. We've just started. So far, we've provided 11 clients with an initial exit incentive, but we'll be looking at this closely and reporting back. And then lastly, I want to see if she's on the call. I'm not sure if she is or not. She is not, but I do just want to mention to you that one of our program directors, in Family and Children's Services, Sophia Isom, is retiring after over 3 decades of service. One of those years, she served as acting deputy director. She's been over our adoptions efforts, our resource family, foster parent recruitment, independent living skills. After 3 decades, she's retiring at the end of June. Her retirement celebration is this week. And I just want to take the moment just to recognize Sophia in front of you. She's been up to present in front of the commission often, as you know. She's just a consummate professional, always supported her staff, always had this can-do attitude. We'll get it done, don't worry about it approach. And really always ensured that our foster parents, our caregivers, our foster youth were taken care of by her programs and by her staff. And so I just want to publicly thank Sophia for her 3 decades of service to HSA and a happy and healthy retirement. And I will conclude with that. Happy to answer any questions, commissioners. That too.
Trends reports. *3, raise your hand. And I'm not seeing any public comment, so.
Thank you, Mr. Rohr, Mr. Barr. I will miss Miss Isom. She, when I arrived, she immediately took me into meetings and counseling. So I will miss her. I did get a chance to share with her at the event last month. So we wish her well.
Yeah.
Shall we go to item 6? The Employee of the Month. Patrick Yam, a senior clerk in the contracts unit, is the June 23 Employee of the Month. Since 2018, Patrick Yam has been coming to work with a can-do attitude. He is professional, polite, respectful, dependable, and highly regarded by his peers. Patrick supports a team of 14 staff. His work may be done quietly behind the scenes, but its impact is evident and his contributions are invaluable. As one colleague exclaimed, Patrick really is the support of the unit. We could not do it without him. Patrick is responsible for uploading all of the approved commission items to the contract management system and programming the contracted, contingency, and the total not to exceed authorization amounts. He is the team's go-to resource for mail merges related to grant agreement templates, cost of doing business notifications, fiscal monitoring notifications, and various other notifications to community partners. He tracks all the contract actions for a portfolio of over 400 grants and contracts. Additionally, Patrick publishes all the solicitations annually and checks for vendor compliance. Throughout the year, Patrick handles a multitude of information requests. He never complains and always gets the job done by the deadline, no matter how voluminous the task. Known for being incredibly reliable, approachable, and responsive, he is also insightful, offering suggestions on how to better solve and minimize the complexities of a problem. He is always extremely patient when partnering with colleagues to try out different options and solutions. Patrick plays a pivotal role in contract administrative operations, consistently demonstrating exceptional organizational skills, attention to detail, and efficiency. He is the driving force behind a smoothly functioning and effective contract unit. His commitment is to excellence and exceptional interpersonal abilities distinguish him as an extraordinary employee. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work and contributions, Patrick, and congratulations. Mr. Rohr?
Thank you, Vice President McCray. That was great. Patrick, congratulations. I just want to say that our, I think smaller than it should be and very mighty contracts division is really, I think a model for the city. We get contracts out quickly. We do procurements efficiently and effectively, led by SB and her team. I just looked up real quick because I didn't want to guess. We have over $178 million in CBO grants that we administer and over $46 million in other professional services under contract. As you said, over 400 grants and contracts. And for a unit of 14 to work as efficiently and effectively, you need a Patrick Yam. And so Patrick, we often, I think here, like to honor folks who, sort of, it says here, behind the scenes, or kind of the quiet engine that helps support this team and teams across the agency. And it sounds like you do just that. I have to say, I get more emails from Patrick than probably anybody, because the DocuSigns are under his name. So it's nice to finally put a face to the name that appears on my screen all the time. So Patrick, congratulations, SB and your team. Thanks for your fantastic work. You really are. I hear all the time from my colleagues. We want to do our contracts the way HSA does, because you really do a fantastic job. So thank you very much, you all, and thank you very much, Patrick, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Ronson.
Item number 7 is on the consent calendar. Any other commissioners want to remove an item from? No. That's a no. Right.
At this time, for
Be placed in the queue if you're calling in. Okay, I'm not seeing any public comment. Motion?
Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Commissioner Singh, can you offer a second?
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Consent calendar is before us, all those in favor? Calendar is. Item number 8. Be granted.
Good morning. Good morning.
The homeless benefits linkages program, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Cindy Ward, I'm the homeless benefits linkages. The homeless benefits linkages program requests authorization to enter into a new grant with Bay Area Legal Aid for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2025. The purpose of this grant is to provide legal and advocacy services to assist people experiencing homelessness in obtaining SSI through the Housing and Disability Advocacy Program, or HDAP. HDAP services are provided through a grant from the California Department of Social Services, which funds outreach, case management, SSI advocacy services, and housing for people experiencing homelessness with a disability. HSA collaborates with HSH to provide permanent supportive housing for program participants. HSA received a significant increase in HDAP funding in fiscal years 22-23 and 23-24. In coordination with HSH, beginning in April 2022, we expanded program services to shelters and navigation centers through a multidisciplinary team that includes enrollment in HDAP and the Home Safe program administered by Adult Protective Services, HSH coordinated entry, benefits application assistance for CAP, Medi-Cal, and CalFresh, and referrals to IHSS services. The goal of the MPT is to bring these critical services directly to some of the most vulnerable people experiencing homelessness. Since its inception, the MDT has visited 14 shelter and navigation center sites and plans to visit 1 per month going forward. Last week, the MDT went to Pier 94, an RV site opened as a shelter-in-place location during the COVID response, which is now slated for closure in October. As part of the MDT, Bay Legal has enrolled 97 clients in HDAP. Bay Legal's goal is to provide HDAP services to up to 270 unduplicated individuals over the contract term, with a total caseload capacity of 225 at any given time. They continue to represent clients who were enrolled at the Whitcomb Sick Hotel, as well as clients who were transferred to HDAP from the Tipping Point SSI Advocacy Pilot, which ended in 2022. Currently, there are 219 total clients enrolled in the program. This grant continues funding for the increase in staffing that makes it possible to meet the expanded service objectives. I'm happy to answer any questions, and Michelle Weaver from Bay Legal is here as well.
Raise your hand. Close public comment at this time.
Second.
Commissioner Singh?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. AC. AB. Sorry.
And fellow commissioners, My name is Vanetta Dunlap, and I'm a program support analyst with Family and Children Services. Also joining us today are Erica Kellenbach and Lauren Kretzinger, both from Seneca Family Agencies. I'm here today seeking authorization to enter into a new grant with Seneca Family of Agencies for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027 in the amount of $8 million plus a 10% contingency for a total grant amount not to exceed $8,800,000. This is for the provision of mobile response, intensive care coordination, and emergency placement services for high needs foster youth and their families. Purpose of the grant is to provide a mobile urgent response system for eligible in-home and former foster youth and children, and provide emergency placement and stabilization services for those youth with intensive behavioral health needs. The components of the mobile response with intensive care case management and coordination and placements in a short-term residential therapeutic program +1, we call it STRTP +1, bed are designed to stabilize youth, minimize placement disruptions, and improve safety, permanency, and well-being outcomes. While the emergency bed program initially utilized an enhanced foster parent model, there have been significant challenges. The program opened in September 2019, shortly before the impact of COVID, and it became increasingly difficult to recruit and retain foster caregivers and provide appropriate interventions for children and youth with significant acuity. The transition to an STRTP +1, which offers placement for one child at a time, will provide professional staffing and intensive clinical services geared towards that individual youth. The program is now located in San Francisco, where children and youth can be closer to their family and community. A second location will soon be opening in Oakland. Since we started this collaboration in 2019, there have been over 1,000 calls to our mobile response team, 52 intensive care cases opened, and 41 placements in emergency beds. This program has been well received by staff and San Francisco families. Thank you for your consideration, and at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes. Inside an emergency bed, what's the average amount of time they spend in the emergency?
Well, it varies. So this bed is an emergency placement that's supposed to be like a duration of maybe 45 days or less, but what we're finding is that it's a challenge to place them in other beds, so they may stay longer. Yeah. So they stay there until a suitable placement can be found.
Start reading her AC. Raise your hand.
I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Any need before us?
Item 8, what is it, B?
B.
Yeah, there it is.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is done. Thank you. Item number 8C, the urban services. Ms. Zhang, welcome.
The one
YMCA of San Francisco for the time period beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2025 in the amount of $1,788,826 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $1,967,709. The purpose of this grant is to develop, implement, and manage a parent-partner mentoring program designed to support families that are involved with child welfare and the Juvenile Probation Department. Parent-partner programs, or sometimes referred to as peer-parent programs, are frequently utilized by child welfare agencies to engage and support parents as they navigate the child welfare system. Because of their lived experience, parent partners are uniquely qualified to gain parents' trust, help them access services, and understand and follow through on case plan activities that must be done to have children returned home or to have their case completed. There is a small but growing number of empirical studies of parent-partner programs in child welfare which reveal that for parents who have participated in a parent-partner program, there are higher rates of reunification, lower rates of re-entry for children involved in the program, and increased participation in services and court hearings. And these articles can be found on the Casey Family Program's website. Under this grant, Urban Services YMCA will provide a number of services, including advocacy, resource referral and linkages, and support groups to help families develop and maintain protective capacities that promote safety, permanency, and well-being. They will also provide the parents' voice in systemic planning efforts that the county undertakes, including interagency initiatives and projects such as the Family First Prevention Services Act, FFPS-8, and System Improvement Plan. And I have here with me today from Urban Services YMCA, their Senior Executive Director, Sasane Crawford, and Associate Executive Director, Sandy Singh, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about this request.
We have the executive director, I know there's the words that you come on. Here it is.
Thank you, sir. We really could have passed on the word, but I appreciate the opportunity. No, we're excited to venture on this partnership and have a long-standing partnership with HSA, being part of the Family Resource Center initiative for the past 28 years. Myself, I was sharing with my colleague, I've been in this room, been upstairs, second, third floor, what used to be called CFT, now Red Team, I think they're called. And so we're bringing that experience as well as for the last decade plus, we've been facilitating peer parent-led programs, first on the education side and now on the health equity side with our Hope SF initiative. So we're hoping to bring in that experience, that opportunity to transfer over to what we will be partnering with you all here.
He said, so you He's put his hand on your shoulder. Come on now, you tell. Okay. Would you like to say anything? All right, you're fine. Thank you. All right, public comment? Yes, go on, Ms. Zhang. Any
Not seeing any raised hands, and there's no one in the queue, Tommy. Okay, closing public comment. Can we move for a motion?
Second? Second. All those in favor? Raise your
Aye.
hands. Aye, all right. Thank you. Thanks for coming down this morning. Good to meet you. Yes.
Yes. Right. Hello again, commissioners. I'm Karina Zhang. Again, I'm the program support analyst with the Family and Children's Services. And now we've received authorization to enter into a new grant with Safe and Sound, formerly the San Francisco Child Abuse Prevention Center, for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2028 in the amount of $3,979,550 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $4,377,505. The purpose of this grant is to educate the public about child abuse and child abuse reporting requirements, provide intervention and prevention services for families at risk of abuse and or neglect, and facilitate communities that aim to support interagency partnership to improve systemic efforts in preventing child abuse. Safe and Sound has been designated by the Board of Supervisors as the county's Child Abuse Prevention Council since 1982. They are charged with the responsibility to facilitate interagency cooperation and coordination in prevention, detection, treatment, and legal processing of child abuse cases, and promote public awareness of the abuse and neglect of children and of resources available for intervention and treatment. Safe and Sound has an impressive track record in meeting and exceeding service and outcome objectives. Every year, they reach over 1,200 local parents and children in 800 families in their various capacities and programs. Their mandated reporters training trained over 1,000 mandated reporters every year. And their child safety awareness training reaches thousands of students in our schools and our communities. With the approval of this grant, they will be able to continue to partner with FCS, Family and Children Services, to provide resources and services to strengthen families and communities in San Francisco. And I have here with me today the Chief Executive Officer from Safe and Sound, Dr. Hagao Bob, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about this request.
It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I am 2 months on the job as of this week, so excited to be here. Very appreciative of the partnership that we've had with HSA for a number of years, and this is just another opportunity to continue that partnership. So appreciate the consideration and look forward to continuing doing great work in the city. Thank you.
For the Safe and Sound contract. All right, closing public comment at this time. We can move for a motion.
Grant to Safe and Sound as described in item 8D.
Second? Item 8D, second? Mr. Singh, yes? All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you.
And now I am here to request authorization to enter into a sole source grant with Safe and Sound to provide oversight and coordination for the Multidisciplinary Children's Advocacy Center for the period July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2028 in the amount of $1,235,000 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount not to exceed $1,358,500. The purpose of this grant is to allow Safe and Sound to act as an administrator and operator of the only certified and accredited Children's Advocacy Center in the City and County of San Francisco. The Children's Advocacy Center delivers a best practice model that brings together in one location child protective services investigators, law enforcement, forensic interviewers, prosecutors, family advocates, and medical and mental health professionals to provide a coordinated, comprehensive response to victims of child abuse and their caregivers. This multidisciplinary team approach results in better outcomes for child abuse investigations done by both FCS and law enforcement. This approach also ensures the provision of supports and interventions needed for children to heal from trauma and serious abuse. Safe and Sound, again, has been designated by the Board of Supervisors as the county's Child Abuse Prevention Council since 1982. They are charged with the responsibility of facilitating interagency cooperation and coordination in the prevention, detection, treatment, and legal processing of child abuse cases. So when the city needed a lead agency to coordinate efforts in running an accredited Children's Advocacy Center, all the partner agencies look no further than Safe and Sound due to their unique status as the county's Child Abuse Prevention Council and their long-standing commitment to child protection in San Francisco. So with the approval of this grant, San Francisco will be able to maintain an accredited child-focused forensic interview setting that is physically and psychologically safe for children and families. And again, after you meet the CEO from Safe and Sound, Dr. Pagal Hart, and we will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Raise your hand if you're online. Closing public comments.
That we authorize the grant for the Children's Advocacy Center to be run by Safe and Sound, as described in 8E.
Second? Second? All those in favor? Raise your hand, aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the work. F. Grant agreement with the University of California, San Francisco. Ms. Hong.
My name's Kathleen Hong. I'm a program analyst with the citywide. Too short.
A little bit, thank you. That's a little bit.
Okay, perfect. I'll start over. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Kathleen Hong. I'm a program analyst with our citywide food access team here at HSA. Today, I'm requesting authorization to modify an existing grant agreement with EDSF, part of UCSF, for the provision of a community grocery voucher program for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, in the additional amount of $4,500,000 plus a 10% contingency for a revised total amount not to exceed $9,946,765. Funding for this grant is provided through the city and county general funds. EDSF, the grantee, partners with around 25 community organizations to distribute the grocery vouchers from this grant through 60 distribution sites to low-income food insecure San Franciscans all over the city. These grocery vouchers are redeemable at over 40 grocery vendors around the city, from farmers markets and small neighborhood markets to large chain supermarkets. These grocery vouchers provide participants with the choice to shop where they want, when they want, and to purchase what foods that they deem are most suitable and preferred by their families. The grant modification we are requesting today would provide over 360,000 grocery vouchers to over 2,200 families over the next 2 fiscal years. I'd like to share a few quotes from the program. A distribution site staff, so someone who provides the vouchers to the families, had mentioned, I had a family of 5 who were out of food when I called them to offer vouchers. Another family shared that they were able to have Thanksgiving dinner with their favorite ethnic foods. These vouchers allowed them to purchase this type of food. From a client, when asked what they liked about the program, they said simply, I didn't have to choose food over rent. Today here with us is Leah Tro from the EDSF program. We are happy to answer any questions you have.
Like to come share? All right. Thank you. Public comment?
Item 8F, *3 to be in the phone queue or raise your hand. Online. Not seeing any public comment at this time, we will close the queue.
I move that we approve the grant modification for UCSF Eat SF for the community grocery vouchers in item 8F.
Second?
Second.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All right.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. It's done. Thank you. G?
For this item, I am requesting authorization to modify existing grant agreements with multiple providers, Chinatown YMCA, Barton Hope, and San Francisco Housing Development Corporation, for the provision of the Food Sovereignty Infrastructure Community Kitchen Access Program for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, in the additional amount of $1,875,000 plus a 10% contingency for a total revised amount not to exceed $3,420,435. This group of grants came from RFP 977 released last year, intended to bolster nonprofit operated kitchen spaces and transform them into community kitchens where community members can prepare culturally relevant, high-quality meals that are distributed free of charge to food insecure San Franciscans. The first grantee listed in the table, the Chinatown YMCA, gathers groups of seniors, SRO residents, and teens to learn culinary skills and teach each other new recipes in their kitchen. The meals they create are then distributed to their local community members. The second grantee listed, Farming Hope, provides an apprenticeship program for those overcoming obstacles such as former incarceration or homelessness so that they can receive paid culinary and hospitality training. The meals that the apprentices cook are provided to food insecure community members. The third grantee listed, San Francisco Housing Development Corporation, or SFHDC, reactivated the kitchen at the Peacock Lounge, the oldest Black-owned venue space in San Francisco, and now local chefs use the space to cook meals that are distributed to low-income community members. Special shout out to Trent for speaking at the grand opening ceremony of the Peacock Lounge kitchen. The grant modifications we are requesting today will help continue this impactful work. Together, these grants will provide over 270,000 meals to our community members throughout the next 2 fiscal years. Funding for this grant is provided through the city and county general funds. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Public?
Time, *3, raise your hand for item 8G for either Chinatown YMCA, Farming Hope, or San Francisco Housing Development Corporation. Yep. We're closing public comment at this time. Go ahead.
Modifications as presented to the Chinatown YMCA.
Second? All those who approve the item for Chinatown, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I move that we approve the grant with modifications as presented to Farming Hope.
Farming Hope, is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right, and number 3.
Oh, sorry. And I move that we approve the grant modifications as presented to the San Francisco Housing Development Corporation.
Right. Second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I removed.
Mr. Singh seconds. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I'm so excited. I wanted to do everything.
Thank you. Got all three of them. H, Dolores Street Community Services Agreement. Good morning. Mr. McLean.
Citywide food access team. I come before you all this morning as we request authorization to modify the existing grant agreement with Dolores Street Community Services for the provision of culturally relevant grocery distribution through the Little Market in the Mission District. This is for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2025 in the total additional amount of $2,400,000 plus a 10% contingency for a revised total grant amount not to exceed $7,177,500. Through this grant, Dolores Street Community Services will continue to distribute free, culturally relevant groceries to hundreds of low-income San Francisco households in person in the Little Market in the Mission District and through trusted community-based organization distribution partners. The Little Market features fresh, seasonal, culturally relevant produce where participants self-select the items and the number of those items they would like. And the items are featured based on participant feedback and popularity. Dolores Street ensures Little Market staff and volunteers speak the languages of the clients they serve to ensure everyone in the Little Market feels welcome and heard. And at minimum, at each distribution, this is Cantonese and Spanish. And Dolores Street partners with trusted San Francisco community organizations, such as Asociación Maya, who serves the indigenous Yucatec Maya population of San Francisco. Through this funding, Dolores Street will serve at least 450 households weekly in fiscal year 23-24, and at least 270 households weekly in fiscal year 24-25. Thank you for your consideration, commissioners. I'm happy to answer any questions, and present with us is Jackie Portillo, Community Services Director of Dolores Street and the Program Manager for the Little Market.
Would like to share with us? Thank you.
Public comment at the time, *3 on the phone or raise your hand online for the Dolores Street Community Services Contract 8H. And we don't have anybody in the queue and no hands raised, so public comment closed.
Move that we approve the modifications to Dolores Street Community Services as presented and described in item 8H.
Second? Seconded by Mr. Singh. All right, we've got a motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. All right, Mr. McLean.
Morning again, commissioners, executive director Rourke. My name is Tommy McLean, program analyst with the Citywide Food Access Team. We request authorization to modify an existing grant agreement with SF New Deal for the provision of meal support services to families with young children, the Family Meal Path. For the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2025, in the additional amount of $4,050,000, plus a 10% contingency for for a revised total grant amount not to exceed $9,260,428. The Family Meal Pack Program is a citywide prepared meal program for San Francisco households with a child 5 years old or younger. And the purpose of this program is to deal with the cost, time, and labor associated with shopping and cooking for young children, with the demands of everyday life. SFHSA in this program partners with SF New Deal, who has brought on a network of restaurants of many different cuisines from across the city. This program aims for flexibility and choice for participants, featuring on-demand ordering at the time of the participants' choosing. So you can text in your order, or you can walk into a restaurant and use a redemption card to order meals and feel more comfortable that way, but at the time and location of your choosing. A household receives 8 meals over 2 weeks and can redeem those 8 meals in as many restaurant visits as they would like. So you could do 2 visits where you do 4 meals each. You could go in and do 3, 3, and 2. But again, hopefully flexibility and choice, the number of meals you're also choosing. To date, this program has served at least 1,200 households, with the highest zip codes of service being 94112, 94124, 94134, and 94110. So that's Excelsior Ingleside, Bayview Hunters Point, Visitation Valley, and Mission and Portola. The funding through this modification will allow for, in fiscal year 23-24, at least 800 households to participate at any given time. And in fiscal year 25 for 700 households to participate at any given time. Thank you for your consideration, commissioners. I'm happy to answer any questions. And present from SF New Deal is the program manager, Kayla Marquez Veloso. Thank you.
Would you like to share? Great, thank you. Mr. McLean, you said at any given time, how long can a given time last in light of the changes and so forth? If you're in the program, do you stay until your child gets to elementary school, or how does it work?
Yeah, so this program, as long as you have a child in the household who is 5 years old or younger. So a household can essentially age out, but this program is we've kind of rolled this program out in partnership with Head Start providers and family resource centers. So we have just seen higher participation. Kind of once those program times are up and rolling. So we've seen higher participation in the spring and the fall, and families kind of coming in and out. But the funding for fiscal year 2024 allows for a baseline of at least 800 households if they're fully redeeming throughout the fiscal year, and for fiscal year 24-25, at least 700 households baseline if everyone is redeeming every single meal through the year.
Your group thinks that the numbers will be going down?
You know, unfortunately, the drop in numbers just reflects the available funding.
Okay.
And I presume that the rationale of this is that then they're in school I mean, once after they're 5 or after they're 6, they're in school and can get their meals that way. That's the,
Yes.
that's the direction.
Or some of I guess, imagine the impetus for this program. Here, with city web access to families in sessions in the summer of 20. And the providers annually share that between with and between school meals.
Right.
So both.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Public comment at this time, *3 to be added to the queue or raise your hand. Item 8I. Raise hands up. Okay, no public comment.
San Francisco New Deal or SF New Deal as presented and described in 8I.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Singh. Oh, we have first and second. All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Thank you, sir, and thank you, King. Beautiful. General public comment.
Any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Human Services Commission, so it does not need to be specific to an agenda item. *3 or raise your hand. No, I'm not seeing any public comment.
Commissioner or Commissioner Singh, any closing comments?
Yeah, no.
No.
Doing a very good job.
Oh, thank you. Hey, Commissioner Singh, we've sat here many years together, haven't
Thank
we?
you, yeah. Right.
Various sites. Thank you. You taught me well. All right, no other items? Then, good morning. Our meeting is adjourned.